Okay, so yes, we're live. Welcome everyone to the Gentlemen's Club Pub Talk. For this edition, we have invited the new team of Happy Tigers. As you may well know, they've been around for quite some time now, but have recently had a change in management and became part of the Cardano Crocs ecosystem. So shortly after that, they announced some huge future plans, and that is to bring real life utility to their NFT collection, and it's clearly, you can see it on JPEG, which led to an insane increase in demand and floor prices. That being said, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat and I'll address them during the pub talk. Make sure to stick around to the end, as well as we'll be giving away instructions on how to win a Happy Tigers NFT. I think the floor is 200 right now, something like that. So that's pretty insane. And as I said before, the session will be recorded and uploaded on our YouTube channel for those who cannot make it, so they can still watch the recording. Without further ado, please welcome Asung. Hey Asung, how have you been?
Hey, I'm well. Thanks for having me here. It's exciting and glad to be here to talk about the future plans for Happy Tigers and everything to come.
Awesome. I'm also very much looking forward to it. How was your end of year celebration?
It was really good. I mean, nothing too notable, which is both good and bad, right? But it was really nice. Just a bunch of stuff with family. Nothing out of the ordinary on that end, but also on the work side of things. Just this whole thing with the Crocs and Happy Tigers, Nifty, and everything to come in 2023. It's just exciting, but also a lot of work up front. So, both exciting and also at the same time relaxing. How about yourself? How was your holidays?
Yeah, mine was pretty awesome. For the first time, because I moved to Bali earlier this year, so for the first time ever I celebrated New Year while it was pretty hot, and I celebrated it on the beach. So that was pretty nice actually. I enjoyed it. So yeah, thanks. And of course, spend time with family and friends. And you said they're being very busy with a lot of projects. I can see. The ecosystem of the Crocs is really expanding, so I can only imagine how much extra work that will bring for the team. I think you guys must be really busy lately, but I must say with success.
Yep, time will tell. I mean, obviously today we're building, tomorrow we'll have something, but it's today's important just as much as tomorrow. So we have to do it 100% from the start.
Totally agree with you. And it's looking rather good. I mean, last week we had Nifty on, pretty similar situation, which they also became part of the Cardano Crocs ecosystem. And it seems you guys have some cool vision and future plans. Let's dig into Happy Tiger. So first, thank you for coming on, Sung. I'm very interested and excited about this chat. I really want to better understand your vision and how you guys will link real life utility to this project. So maybe let's first start with the basics. Could you briefly introduce yourselves and tell us how you got into the crypto or NFT space?
Yeah, sure. So I guess in this space I go by Asung. I started off in crypto. I guess back in 2020. I started loading up in Ethereum between $2 to $400. That was my introduction. I figured before then I was in traditional markets, the stock market, bond markets, looking to real estate, like trying to break out the rat race, right? Personal finance and financial independence. That stuff was very important to me, and still is today. After doing this for about like a year or two, I realized at the current trajectory, I can retire in about 150 years. So things have to change. And crypto finally got on my radar. So since then, I've been obviously not going all into crypto, but like a large majority of my net worth is in crypto, just to accelerate that path towards financial freedom. Now, fast forward to 2021, I got introduced to the Cardano Crocs Club. It's interesting because the way I got into the project was I won a Twitter giveaway for a Croc. Back before then, I had never used Twitter. I had like, I don't know, 1 follower and 2 following, and that was like my first or second post. Apparently, I thought I was a bot because I had no post before that. I won a random giveaway and they gave it to somebody else. So to this day, I'm waiting for my free Croc. But other than that, that's kind of how I got introduced to the ecosystem. Started chatting with the people on the Crocs. It was really interesting to see other people that care for crypto, that believe in it, that really have something similar to talk about in that sense. And that's also why I'm here today in this community, because um, here in crypto and NFTs, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, what your background is. We all have a similar interest in crypto, we have a similar interest in NFTs, and really want the space to grow in one way, shape, or form. And it's just really cool to be part of that process.
All right, yeah, that's amazing. And of course, I think for most people within the crypto space, the ultimate goal is financial freedom. At least that's also what I am working towards. And seeing as Alex is here and you're talking about the croc that you still need to receive, maybe I'll get it over to you. All right. So about Happy Tigers.
I'm not really sure if he's not a bot. So
Well, he has good text to speech then. All right. So what was yeah? So let's dig a little bit into Happy Tigers now. So what was the
I had
original
to share.
original concept?
I'm
Wait, someone.
switching through shit, and I've timed out
Hold
just
on.
like a second.
Let me mute him. All right. Sorry for that. So let's dig into Happy Tigers. What was the original concept behind Happy Tigers, and how has that concept changed since joining the Cardano Prox ecosystem?
So, quite frankly, the original Happy Tigers collection was created by someone by the name of Chan DeLeon. But and he was just an artist that really aspired to participate in this space. He saw everything else going on. He liked what he saw, and he liked drawing art. So he just came up with like a small collection, wanted a small community, and that's kind of how the project started, right? And at the time, this was like a few months ago, there was a transition, I guess, in the space from art projects to utility projects. That was like that was the narrative. There was a big battle between art projects versus projects that can provide utility in the real world, and things along those lines. So, I guess what happened was originally Chen got in with the idea of just creating a community. It was more of an art-driven project. There were some like sprinkles of utility, like for example, profit sharing or royalty sharing amongst the top 10% of the crops. But as time went on, he, I guess, he just couldn't keep up with the meta, to put simply, with the utility side. He also got really busy in real life, and he decided to step down as soon as well, as recently as November of last year. And since then, we've seen this community. There are a couple of crocs that are involved with the community, and quite frankly, the community is the biggest asset you can have in Web3, right? There's a lot of projects, regardless of what the product is doing on the team side. There are very strong communities where even when nothing is happening, there are people talking. Even when there's nothing happening, there are people that are believing and truly sticking it out for the project. And Happy Tigers is one of these projects where there were a lot of people here that really liked what they saw. They liked the art, they liked the community, the people that the friends and the or the friends, I guess, and the family, you can call it, that they created in this little ecosystem. And we didn't want to let that go to waste. So Alex was thinking about this a little bit, and we decided that the best approach would be to take the Happy Tigers brand. It does look very like cartoony, kid friendly, and try to integrate that with the real world. So today, I guess the new objective is to integrate the Happy Tigers into a brick and mortar restaurant, and kind of tailor towards like kids or like a family establishment, which is kind of strange because most projects today all go online. Everything is digital. Everything is some sort of staking for some sort of internet money, right? But this is one of the fewer projects that really want to tie it down to the IRL aspect of it.
All right, cool. And yeah, I've had the chance. We also know about Chandelier, and I think what he has done for Happy Tigers is definitely a great job. If I'm not mistaken, at some point most of his team left him, and it was kind of left alone. So I can totally understand his decision there. And yeah, the opportunity you guys see in that, as you said, community is very, very important, and I think that's what they did establish. They established a pretty good community. And then art-wise, it kind of matches with what you guys have going on with the Crocs, in my opinion. So yeah, I can definitely see why you guys stepped into the project. So what's the current team vision and goals towards the future?
Yeah, so the current vision is, so the short answer is you want to integrate the Happy Tigers brand into a restaurant business. So how this will work is, in the short run, the idea is to create an establishment that's tailored towards kids, specifically family friendly, I guess, an audience, right? Like if you think about it, if you have people that want to meet up for coffee, or if you want to meet up for food, but you also have kids with you, um, there's a lot of I wouldn't say issues, but there's a lot of hurdles. If you go to a formal restaurant, kids aren't always engaged, nor are they always quiet or complacent, to put simply. And that's also how establishments like McDonald's and Burger King became very, very popular. They gave a way for the kids to do their kids stuff, while the parents and whoever you want to meet up with also had a chance to talk or catch up or do whatever. And in Europe, there aren't as many, I guess, family style restaurants out there. A lot of them are more like cafes where you go for a quick bite or get coffee, and then the kids and the family scene is not as prevalent, at least compared to the US. So the short term, the direction is to create a restaurant of this nature to basically to break into that particular market. And in the long term, if this becomes really successful enough and much bigger, it can even become its own franchise. And then the franchising, I guess you can sell licenses or rights, and then also generate money that way to creating like a bigger restaurant business. So that's the vision we have so far. The immediacy is to create a restaurant. We're actually actively looking in Spain right now, and depending on if other opportunities come out elsewhere, it seems like Spain is going to be the first establishment. The current macro conditions in the world are not so good, right? There's a war going on, a lot of inflation, and people are losing jobs. But from a business perspective, this is also the best time to get out there and acquire a business or an existing brand or something, or even real estate to some extent, at a discount. So this also was favorable for us in that regard. Today we're looking for a spot to set up and call home for the Happy Tigers brand. The expectation is that by late 2023, like maybe like Q1 or Q2, we're gonna have a restaurant, or at least the preliminary version of a restaurant up and running, to really start pushing this idea out.
All right, and I'm also from Europe. Originally, I'm from Belgium, so I can actually agree with you. There's not a lot of kid-friendly restaurants out there, except the big franchises like McDonald's and everything, and Burger King, stuff like that. Yes, but outside of that, there's not that many kid-friendly. So I do actually also see an opportunity in the market there. Will it be named after Happy Tigers, which is pretty kid-friendly, let's say, or is it going to be under another name, or is it just backed by Happy Tigers, or how is it going to be?
Yeah, sure. So just to give the structure formally, the Happy Tigers Club NFT collection is actually going to be owned by a larger company called Crocs Entertainment. This company will house the Cardano Crocs Club, the Happy Tigers Club, and Nifty World, the three collections that we're working on today. And so each of these, even though they're under the same umbrella, each of these, I guess, are standalone brands that will establish to do something else. So in Happy Tigers' case, we're going to be rolling it out with the Happy Tigers brand. The images you see on the NFTs, the images you see on the cover of the collection, the tigers, that's going to be more or less the vibe. That's more or less the drive and dart that we're going to be telling towards kids. And that's going to be what you see. It's going to be the Tigers brand. It's not going to be a Crocs brand. It's not going to be a Nifty brand. It's going to be the Tigers that the kids will see and enjoy. And they're going to be the ones those are going to be the ones that they interact with. Now, we're also in the process of creating another collection called the Happy Tigers Business Collection. And this is going to be something I'll touch base on more later. That's going to be a 3D collection of the Happy Tigers, both of which, the 2D and the 3D, we can utilize for the restaurant business. For example, maybe the mascot, or maybe the on advertising, for example, on TV, you'll see a 2D brand, but when you go in person, I mean, maybe you'll see like a hologram or some sort of menu with the 3D tigers embedded into the technology. So we want to have both options open, And as a result, we have the current 2D collection, and we'll have another 3D collection coming out in the near future.
All right, awesome. And I'm sure we're gonna dig a little bit more into depth later on. Maybe one more question. Is the original team still involved? Is Chandelian still involved, or not?
To my knowledge, I don't think so. But considering the art, considering the traits, and I guess consistency, we might reach out to him if needed to make sure that the 3D brand is in line with the 2D brand, because we don't want two collections that are completely unrelated, right? So, to my knowledge, he's on the team, but I mean that line of communication is open for us.
All right, yeah, definitely makes sense that those collections are related art-wise. All right, what's the expertise of the different team members, especially with this project? Because yeah, you're opening a restaurant, so does everyone have a specific field of knowledge here?
So I can't say for other people, but me personally, no. I at least direct experience I don't. I have a few friends that own restaurants, and I can tell you that at least from a business side, more often than not, the restaurant business, the profit margins are very, very thin, right? However, another thing that you can compare this to is actually like a franchise, like Dave and Buster's, like an arcade. It's not a restaurant per se, but they get the kids in through the door by having games, by having people can have a good time there, and then the food is like meh. I mean, you get French fries and pizza, nothing too crazy. McDonald's and Burger King as well. The food isn't really like why you go there. To put simply, it's just it's affordable, but it's also just a way to have a middle ground between kids and adults. And that's the same approach we're taking here, where we're gonna hire, and we have actually have been looking for experts in the restaurant industry, specifically in this field. But I mean, me personally, I don't have any direct experience running a restaurant, nor have I owned a restaurant myself. But that's also part of the, I guess, the drive and the roadmap here. We're looking for locations, but also for people that are competent and can run these restaurants properly.
All right, perfect. So basically, it's like a restaurant slash kids entertainment place. That's what you're aiming at. With the kids entertainment, you're gonna get the kids in, and of course adults in, and then people will start consuming food and drinks as well. So yeah, I think that's definitely a concept that can work for sure. So let's talk a little bit about the collections now. You already touched upon briefly, but if I understood correctly, you currently have two collections and are looking to add a third in February. Could you tell us a little bit more about the three different collections?
Yeah, sure. So the first collection is the Happy Tigers Club, the 2D tigers that we all know and love. That is iconic for the project today. This collection. The second collection is something that's actually very small. It's let me just pull it up. It only has like a 40 NFTs. It's a very, very small portion of it. That's called the Carbons. The Carbons were, like, I guess, just given out to specific people or specific parties while the Happy Tigers was active up until Chan left recently. But we are looking to expand upon that as well. The third collection is going to be called the Happy Tigers Business Collection. Again, that's going to be the 3D collection, also with 3,333 unique NFTs. So how these all come together is this product is essentially transitioning from an art project to a utility-based, more IRL, again, brick and mortar brand, right? So the next question is going to be, how do these collections, why do they matter? How do they come together? Why should I buy one? Like all these questions about why it's important to own a tiger. So the idea behind this is we do want to have a profit sharing program with holders. And the way it's structured right now is you need to own at least one tiger from the current collection, the Happy Tigers Club, plus one tiger from the Happy Tigers Business Collection. And if you own one of each, you'll get a certain portion of the royalties. Well, the numbers will be detailed later, but the idea here is that the rarities will play a role. You're going to have rarities rank 1 through rank 3333. You add the rarity of the, I guess, the first tiger collection, plus the secondary collection, which gives you a total between 2 and 6666, right? The higher that number, the larger percentage of the royalties that pair will get. Separately, anyone holding part of the Carbons collection, those are the 40 or 41 NFTs that are on the market, you'll receive a portion of the royalties without having any mixing and matching ranking stuff. It's just each one will give you a fixed amount equal to about 0.3%, no, 0.03% of the profits from the franchise. And this is interesting because this profit sharing program might not seem like a lot, at least today where nothing's built. But if this does take off, then if it does really do well in the real world, this is very scalable, right? Franchises, in my opinion, are not necessarily fast food businesses or anything, right? If you think of McDonald's, you think of hamburgers and French fries, but the core of their business model is actually real estate. They acquire and dominate in the commercial market industry, like the real estate market. And it's just that their profit model is based on burgers and food, but their actual thesis goes back to real estate. So going back to Happy Tigers, this something that's really similar can be said here, where the idea is to start off in one location, but as it gets bigger and more people are liking the brand, we can expand and we can create more small shops, like franchises, small restaurants, and the brand it basically expands the same way. And as that gets bigger, so will the portion of the profits going back to holders, but also to the parent company. And that's kind of the vision we had in mind, where this is basically a restaurant business or franchise business with a spin for the NFTs. And so people that meet this holding criteria will also be rewarded for really being here today to show support to this project, because this is where it's starting up.
All right, so if I summarize that in a nutshell, so if you hold one Happy Tiger Club from the original collection and you hold one Happy Tiger from the Happy Tiger business collection, you have the right on a certain share of the profits of the restaurant. The Carvins, if I'm not mistaken, they get a share of the royalties that sort of trades in these two collections, or also part of the restaurant business?
No, it's all part of the restaurant business.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yep.
All right, cool. So that's clear. So for now, the real utility in all collections lies in having a share in the profits of the restaurant business, or in the restaurant business itself.
That's correct.
All right, so okay, that's clear for me. So let's dig a little bit into depth on the restaurant part. I think I've spoken to some people. I've seen some questions, and most of the time everyone's asking questions regarding the restaurant. So I have a few questions here that people are really dying to know. Maybe first, before we dive into that, is there what's the supply for the new collection? Have you decided on a mint price yet? And when will the mint date be?
So the supply is going to be a total of 3,333. The mint price has not been selected just yet, only because the price of the ADA and Bitcoin and all the cryptos are still volatile. But the general idea is we have a number in mind in our head, which I will not say, but the mint price total collection will be basically summing up to that number. And separately, the team behind on the Croc side, Croc Entertainment, will also front an equivalent amount of money or something along those lines. So it won't be just the holders paying the full brunt of this. We're also going to be in as well. And the total amount, let's just say, is several $100,000 USD. Let's just say. That'll be utilized to find and start building and creating this restaurant, whether it be an existing business that wants to get out because of the current conditions, or whether it's just a really good spot that we happen to find that we can actually just build it from scratch. It's still up in the air. There's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts depending on the way this goes. But the mint itself is going to be in 2023, and that's because we kind of need these funds to start this the groundbreaking or breaking ground sooner than later. And right now it's January. We're looking around. We have found some possible locations, and in the next few weeks we'll announce a mint price and the conditions for the mint. For example, how to whitelist and all those things. And I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it definitely does, and it also makes sense that it's the same supply as the original collection, as you're going to link one and another to earn shares. So yeah, that definitely makes sense. So I assume the people holding a Happy Tiger Club NFT, they have some sort of whitelist for the new collection, or
So that hasn't been revealed yet, but just understand that the people that are holding the tigers today are the most important for this project. They're the ones that are obviously supporting the project since the start or recently, and they're the ones that also are pushing this project up, and they're the ones that we really admire and think about when we plan these things.
all right, all right. So because like last week, I've also spoken to Alex about Nifty, and that was going to be backed by C4 token. So my question here is, will Happy Tigers and their real life utility and the form of shares that are paid out, will they be in C4?
So it's going to be a mixture of C4 and USD C4, which is a stable coin we're creating. And yes, so it is. And how this works is pretty interesting because Happy Tigers is probably the only collection where we have a direct, I guess, entrance into the market from an IRL or like a physical store perspective, right? So on the same note, Happy Tigers is probably the first collection where we can try to utilize C4 in the real world. What do I mean by that? This is still things that are being planned, but let me give you one hypothetical example. What if one day you could enter Happy Tigers and you can pay for your food or part of your food with C4? Now there's a lot of questions around this, but let me give you an analogy. If you go to McDonald's or Burger King and you buy $1 or $2 or $3 worth of food, you get back 1% or 2% in points, like McDonald's points or Burger King points. On the apps, you can see that. Now going back to Happy Tigers, what if you spend $1, $2, $3, whatever, and you get back some amount of C4? You have a gift card or some sort of app maybe where you can load up C4, and you can also redeem the C4 for food. You can redeem the C4 for perks or discounts or what have you. And what if this is the same C4 that people are earning today from staking, right? That's a world. That's an instance where the two worlds collide, where you have these tokens on the blockchain meeting an IRL use case. So as the business expands, as more people physically have C4 in their pockets, the value of C4 will also go up, and that's kind of how C4 ties into everything here.
I really like that vision. I must say I've been seeing it at some places now. Like, for example, there was the festival at some point, and you need to buy like a payment card to buy your drinks, etc. And it was paid with crypto, and then you get a certain amount back based on your purchases and everything. So I start seeing this in the market, and I think the market is slowly getting ready for that. So vision wise, I think you really hit the spot there. Definitely looking good. So people will also be able to, let's say they go to the restaurant, they will also be able to pay, instead of dollars, they will able to pay with C4 tokens.
That's correct. At least that's the long-term goal. I mean, first we need to get this restaurant open, right? But that's,
yeah, of course.
but that's the idea. That's how C4 will be integrated into this ecosystem, where maybe not at the beginning, because we still need the technology, and we also need to get some clearance from like the rules and regulations and our lawyers that this is even possible, because we don't want to come off as C4 is going to take over the world and compete with the euro, right? Because that's going to be a very bad message for governments. But
the euro's been doing horrible though.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe C4 is a better alternative anyway, but we can't tell them that. So, but yeah, we need some more clarity. But we have been thinking about this, and we have been in talks. Mm-hmm. But the idea is that's the general idea we have. The final form might not be the exact way we talked about, just based on how things come out. But as of right now, there are no rules saying you can't do this. There are no rules saying you can do this. So the way it looks like is it's a matter of you can go out and do whatever you want, but just be aware that if things change, you'll also have to pivot. That's kind of the way we interpret these.
All right, clear, very clear. So let's dive into the restaurant, because I know most people are dying to hear about that. You already said a few things about it, but Yeah, I have a question here. What type of restaurant will be open? What is the main cuisine that will be served, and in which price range? I think you briefly touched upon that already. So you're trying to open something um, like fast food wise, but also with kids entertainment, correct?
Exactly. So that's exactly it. It's going to be a fast food restaurant. That's at least the idea we have today. But depending on the location, it could also be something like a cafe, right? What just if you go on the busy streets of Madrid, for example, or in Italy or anywhere else where it's really busy, tourist areas, you also have places where you just serve coffee and cookies or small foods, and that's their whole business model: coffee, tea, finger food, like bite-sized food, and those are very profitable businesses. So if the location we decide to reside in happens to be in one of these areas, then we can forego the whole, for example, fast food side of things and just limit it to coffee or something smaller. But again, the idea we have today is to break into the fast food business because that's something that people seem to get. It's easy and quick to buy. You don't need to spend too much time there. Um, and there's also not a big line in most cases, so you can get in and out very quickly and be efficient with your time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think yeah, the barrier is much lower there food wise because I think opening a real restaurant and having a decent cuisine is going to make things a lot more complicated. And I think in the end that's not your goal. So yeah, I think opening something fast food related will definitely be a good choice. So does the team have any restaurant management experience? Is there anyone that has experience with that or worked at any restaurants in the past?
So again, I personally do not myself, but there are, I think, at least one or two people on Alex's team that do have restaurant experience. I don't know exactly which restaurant or what the credentials say exactly. Maybe Alex can elaborate that at a later date. But yes, we have some people, and again, just at least for myself, I don't personally, and I don't know about the Crocs team per se. But the Happy Tigers team, the Nifty side of things, and also just Alex's team under him, we have at least one or two people that have direct restaurant experience in the past,
All right,
and or present.
all right, and also what I've said before. Indeed,
I think
sorry,
yeah.
you go, Alex, go.
To that, yeah. I think we can add a little bit to that. So basically, obviously, like for us, is also is an investment, and we are hiring, and the most massive and like administrators and animators and all this stuff is the people we are looking to hire. So basically, if someone is in Spain or Madrid, you can and has this experience, you obviously can join us, try to join at least as well. And we're looking for high quality people, and have a lot of time to the moment we launch. So we will have them on board. I think before the meeting we'll have on board some of those people. But we also do have a person. When I was telling you about this before, we have a partner who has been running a business for a long time, and he has a lot of restaurants in Ukraine, and he recently has sold them and moved out because all the crazy stuff going on there, and he's very interesting to help us and to join the business at some part. So yeah, we have someone to guide us in the hiring process, but obviously all the management, all the basically important stuff will be done by people who we do hire. But again, we have this idea of how things has to be, because we do have this business owner to be a part of our team, and so that's also one of the reasons why we wanted to be to put the brand to the restaurant, because it's not like dark. We are not in dark. We have that information. We have someone to guide us, to hire and to find the best team to move this project.
All right, that's clear. And in the end, we're still in a very early stage. So I think you guys are still in process of indeed finding the right people. And as I said before, with what you're opening, the kid stuff, the barrier is a little bit lower. So I don't think you need some senior guy who's very experienced in having the best restaurants, etc. It's more in a different niche. So yeah, I think you guys should be good.
It's more like just technical. It's more like just technical stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
so the questions you want to answer, I'll just give you the list of questions we already answered and we had to answer it during this process. Like, for example, what kind of food do you have to have? What kind of license, right? It's a different kind of license. So you want to have, I don't know, like different kinds of food. Like you want to have a cake, or that's like one piece of license. It costs like one amount. And then you want to have a burger that's it might be even different kind of paper you have to hold. And then if you want to be on this street, let's say there is a main street or in Madrid, and this is like super expensive street and license, the government doesn't even give any license anymore to buy it from someone, right? But you can find somewhere like out of the city center, but somewhere in an area where people live, and it might be better because there's more kids and more like this kind of like very very technical questions, and you always want to have someone to help you, to guide you to, because like let's say we are in the moment where we have money and we have the idea and we want to get to the B where we basically have the restaurant it's working, right? So we have someone to guide us through the process. So it's not more like just for fancy like high quality restaurant with like fancy food, and it's more like just like a lot of technical details that you don't think about when you think about restaurants, and you have to deal with them. So we are aware of of a lot of these details, and we have like even like locations, right? So there's so like for example, like in Madrid, there's usually people do not sell their restaurants because it's such a successful business here, so they just don't, right? And then like, but for example, there are people like who get retired or who just move out, or it's just like just a small thing, like a small location, but it's a good location, but it's just they're not really into. It's like you have to look for these kind of people, right? Because you always have to know how to figure out if the location is just bad and people go bankrupt, say, or it just like you just get lucky for a good location. And again, you have to have a specific skills to figure these things out. And thanks God, we have this opportunity to figure these things out, and we have this someone to guide us through this process. So even the question, like the thing you're telling now, like if you ask a regular person, probably they will not. I didn't know this thing maybe like 6 months ago or 4 months ago, and I started communication with the right people, and we had these people into our business, and now we know these questions, right? And we know the answers, by the way, as well. Mostly of these questions, we already know the answers. How do you find this location? How do you work with government authorities? How do you work with where do you hire people? And like there is like a huge list of questions. I just want to give the idea that we really like deep inside, like the teams that works in the background. We hear like me, Asung, we pretty much we just present to the community what we have done and what's our. There's a team in background works really really hard to get this. Even like the white paper, right? So the white paper is like 3 pages, very very straightforward stuff, right? But the main idea, right? There is to make this white paper happen. We postponed like 2 or 3 times the announcement, right? Because we had to receive all the information from the backend team, right? We had to make sure that okay, if you put it in white paper, it really works. Like location, like what is the date, how much time you need for that, how much like, for example, in Spain the licensing is called transfers, right? So it's kind of transfer licensing, and how much time you need to get the license. So we can put it in the white paper. So all of these things, like we always had to receive all the information. So and just like for example, if you hire a personal for that's the food is one thing, and then we want to work with kids, right? We want to do like events and all this stuff. And there is another, piece of a job, a piece of question, like what kind of permission do you need to have to work with the kids? It's also like not the simplest question. Like in some countries you just work with the kids, but usually you have to have them. And that's other question we had answered like very recently. What kind of permissions do people have to have? What kind of those that work with the kids, right? So because definitely there will be animators, etc., etc. So that's pretty much the team part. It's a little bit more complicated that we think like, okay, we need to have a chef to make, like, we don't really have to have a super chef to make a super burger. It's it's very easy to do. Like you don't have to have a very, but there is a lot of little questions like and we have to tackle them one by one before we get to the to the finish.
So roughly said, it's not per se about managing the restaurant. It's getting things set up, which is taking a lot of effort, and you need to have the right people there, which you do, and you need to have some local people, I assume, who know how the market works there and how to get things set up with licenses and everything. So that's where the real work is right now. So when you briefly touched upon location, so talking about location, will this be a new build out or is it an existing building?
So we're exploring both options. We want to go with the best option in terms of both time, money, and efficiency, right? The advantages of taking over an existing business is the infrastructure is already there. You don't need to go, for example, you don't need to do anything in terms of construction. You don't need to do anything in terms of labor and reassembling the structure and the foundation of the building. You can just get in and rebrand and start serving within a few weeks. On the flip side, new construction might be worth it if the location is really good, right? A lot of us, again, with the on the real estate side, it's always about location. And as I mentioned before, restaurant businesses and franchises are essentially real estate businesses in a way. And so if you just happen to find a really, really good location where it might be worth it just to put out some more time to construct and create something from scratch versus taking something over that's an existing brand, we'll go ahead and do that. But right now, we're still exploring. There's no information given to us every day. The markets are also changing every day. Winter just started in Europe, to put simply, or across the world. So with the energy crisis going on, we will also expect that more and more businesses, especially the smaller ones, will close in the next few months because they're not making enough money to pay for their electric bills. Mm-hmm. And so as we get more information, we'll just work with that. But ideally, we go in there as an existing business and rebrand it, but we'll have to see based on, again, what's given to us.
All right, that's clear. Why did you choose to go with restaurants as real life utility?
So the thing about Happy Tigers is it really screams out to you like something you would see at a toy or a something that's kid friendly, to put very bluntly. And while a lot of NFT projects have this aspect to them, not all of them are exactly captivating for a kid. Like normally, if you were a kid looking at the toy aisle, the things that come out to you are either something you saw on TV, like a popular brand, or something that's very colorful, or something that's very like nice on your eyes, right? And the Happy Tigers, it kind of has that aspect to it. That's kind of how the art was created by Chan. And so the way this looks is it does have that appeal towards younger kids, which is, again, the focus, a target audience for this particular project now. And the restaurant business specifically is also because we were actually considering just not taking over Happy Tigers. It wasn't always like a plan to just go in and take this. But it just so happened that, as Alex explained, he was talking to people right around the same time this project became available, to put bluntly. So it just so happened when you put two and two together, this project that is essentially one of the art pieces that are tailored towards kids, plus people in the restaurant business coming to Alex asking questions like, hey, I'm interested in this whole Web3 thing. I want to break into the industry. What can I do to get started? Well, there you have it. You have Happy Tigers rebranded as a potential business restaurant application in IRL. It wasn't necessarily planned from like years ago. It was just an opportunity that came up, and we're going to go with it because it makes sense, and it just it fits.
Yeah, in all honesty, like those Happy Meals at McDonald's, you can see like Happy Tiger Meal, and you can see the NFT there. I can see it. I can definitely see it why it matches for sure. Is there a ballpark date yet on opening the restaurant, or are you guys aiming towards something?
So the idea is to get this out by mid to end of Q2, so May or June. That's assuming we do a takeover as opposed to a full-fledged construction, and that also depends on if the mint, for example, sells out and how much money is raised and things like that. But the idea today, if everything goes according to plan, meaning nothing changes, we want to have a soft target of opening sometime in mid to late Q2, which is like 4 or 5 months away from today.
All right, nice. That's pretty fast indeed. So it's going to come with certain costs, of course, certain startup costs. So my question is, where is the financing coming exactly from? I understand you're going to do the new mint, and which is going to bring some capital, but is that going to be sufficient to get started, or are we also looking into an extra investment from the Cardano Crocs ecosystem?
Yeah, no. So the mint itself is nice, but I guess in all fairness, that's not going to be enough to cover everything on the front end. So the Crocs Entertainment is actually going to be fronting a lot of money for this venture. So it's not like this is just a investment, or it's not just a on the bags of the holders. The team is also going to be heavily involved. So it's in both of our interests for this to succeed. There's also no reason for us to leave, because if you want a rug pull, then you don't also invest a lot of money into your own project before you rug pull it. Yeah. So I mean, that's just kind of how it is. I mean, whether you believe me or not is up to you. But that's kind of the foundation we have set up for this venture.
All right, cool. Plus, you're not fully dependent on. Let's say you mint out, you're totally not dependent on your floor prices or trading or amount of holders, etc. Because you're really building a real life thing, right? So if your restaurant's going smoothly, the rest will also follow. So yeah, I think that's definitely clear. Okay, so owning a restaurant also has pretty tight margins, and as you said before, it does come with some failure rates at some point. Are there any safeguards and risk management plans in place to keep the restaurant alive and well?
So, I mean, just before I answer that question, I do want to iterate that this is not just NFTs, but any investment, right? Is not, there's no guarantee of success. So just really think about that before you decide to buy anything, whether it's Happy Tigers or others. Now, going back to Happy Tigers, is this a foolproof method to succeed? No, it's absolutely not. There can be a lot of things that come up that we weren't expecting that can hamper or possibly destroy the vision we have. That being said, we have taken steps to make sure that those chances are very small. For example, we already have a specific target audience, which is specifically towards families and kids. We're not trying to get every single person in this restaurant, although that would be nice. The immediate goal is to target a specific group, which is a smaller demographic in Europe and Spain. But also, there's also smaller supply and smaller number of restaurants that tailor towards these groups. Secondly, the type of food we're introducing is nothing crazy. We're not trying to create or recreate some sort of like a 5-star course like dish, right? This is just very simple, be it fast food or coffee or something very, very small, with the intention of just having the people utilize the space for their kids and just hang out and just kind of like bring them over every now and then if the kids want to. So that and like basically there's very little cost in terms of development on that side, in terms of creating a menu, for example, in terms of creating recipes or creating like dishes per se. It's just a matter of just rebranding it, naming them things, and going in that line. So the biggest costs are going to just be the acquisition of a particular existing business or an existing space, rebranding this, putting this as a restaurant, and then last is going to be marketing and having like repeat customers, right? So those are the biggest risks, but you consider for any business. And whether it'll succeed or not, it just depends on, again, market conditions, and also depends on how well we can advertise this and push this out to the main markets. But that's also something we're working with, because we have a lot of people that are, one is across 3 projects now that are aware of this venture. We also have everyone in CNFTs that are aware of this venture, but also in just the greater crypto scene and people that are local. We do plan to get in touch with, for example, newspapers or online media to get the word out that this restaurant's there. Come check it out. They might even have incentives like discounts at the beginning to come out and see what it's about. But that's all. That's all I can really say, right? Nothing is 100% guaranteed, but we are taking steps to run this as a real business, and that comes from the fact that we have many people on our team and also the on our Alexis team, specifically outside of crypto, that know about either the restaurant business or just general best business practices.
Okay, that's very clear, and I totally agree with you. Every investment comes with a risk for sure. It's indeed how you guys approach it right now. Getting some trust from the people in. I think the vision you guys have or what you're trying to establish is definitely a good business idea. So yeah, that's looking good to me. Maybe one more question regarding this aspect. Would like to know more about the legality for giving shares to the investors from the gains of the restaurant. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. So again, this is something that can change with time, right? But today, there's nothing saying we can't do this as long as everything is recorded and documented and reported at the end of the year to the proper authorities, right? For example, in the US, you have the IRS. For example, in Europe, I don't know the exact agency, but I have spoken to Alex about this before. This can't remember, but again, the laws today don't say that this is illegal. It also doesn't say this is legal. It's just something that doesn't exist yet in this space. But if we have the documentation, if we have the ability to prove that things have been going the way it has been going, there's no reason for this to be a problem. And if it does become a problem later, as for example, new laws come into place or new regulations come out, then it's up to us as a project to make sure we can pivot with both the best interest of the holders, but also the best interest of the restaurant. And I can't really say what direction that'll take because the rules haven't come out yet.
Yeah.
Maybe no rules come out. Maybe this is all okay in the end. That's the best case. But that's really the most honest answer I can give you today, because we just don't know what the future holds. But as of right now, this is completely legal as long as we're doing everything by the book and registering everything and having the right permits to run this business.
Yeah, I completely follow you because it's still a gray zone. There is no certain rules set yet, and it's all about, as you said, pivoting or adapting to the situation. When it comes out, when there's more information available, you just adapt. And as you said, if you keep records and everything, I don't see any issues there. I think every project is in that same area. So okay, that's a clear answer. So maybe regarding how the earnings are going to get divided among the shareholders, I think you mentioned it's going to be partly C4 and partly a stable coin you are creating, right?
That's correct. It's going to be a mixture of the two. I don't know exactly what the ratio is going to be yet. We'll give more information about that later. It also depends on the price of C4, which we have no control over. And also just how well the restaurant does. If in any business, it's very unlikely to see the restaurant or any business have profits like the first month of operation, right? But considering we have a very low barrier to entry for this, it might even be possible. We just don't know exactly what to come downstream for this.
All right. So let's say someone wants to go buy a Happy Tiger now from secondary. Where should they look at? If I remember correctly, you said the shares later that will be paid out will be based on the overall rarity of the Happy Tiger Club rank and HTB rank. Is that correct?
That's correct. So to give the exact answer, so you want to start with the rarity ranks. The better or the more rare your tiger, the more rewards you'll receive. And the exact equation is you take the two tigers, let's call it collection 1, collection 2. You take collection 1 plus to collection 2, the rarity ranks, divide it by 2, and it's gonna, whatever number you get is gonna fall within a range. And for example, if your rarities are within the range of 1 through 3333, then you get 0.035% of the profits for that pair. If you have it between 3333 to 1000, you get 0.02%, and then from 1000 to 2200, 0.01%, and from 2200 to 3333, you get 0.007%. This can be found in the light paper that was launched, I believe, yesterday or the day before. That's in the most recent announcements in the Happy Tigers Club at the time of this recording. So that's more or less the structure we have here. And my recommendation is just do a. Obviously, you want the most rare tigers, but you also don't want to overpay for those tigers, right? So do a cost analysis. Compare the rarity rank versus the profit reward versus the cost of the ADA. That's kind of all I have to say to that. And not everyone can afford everything, right? So if you really believe in this project, then just pick up some tigers and pick up ones that are right for you. You don't have to buy the most rare one. You don't have to buy the flourish per se. Just whatever works, whatever is in your personal situation. And over time, hopefully, this will deliver in a much more positive way.
All right. Okay. Is there any early alpha that you can share with the gents?
So I don't think this is like a new alpha per se, but there's a lot of questions about tigers and C4 and stuff, right? For example, the question is how can I get C4 in advance to the restaurant opening? I mean, I like what you're hearing. Maybe I want to buy a burger with C4 or something. How do I get C4? So there's two ways to get C4. First is you can buy it from the secondary market. For example, a DEX like Sunday Swap. Whatever the rate is, I don't know. It changes day to day. And the second way to get it is to stake. Now, right now, we're in the process of launching our Swamplands over at the Crocs Club. And right now, today, before the Swamplands are live, the only way to get C4 is by staking a Croc. However, once the Swamplands goes live, we're also allowing a lot of other projects in this space to stake if you have a land. And Happy Tigers can be staked at a rate of 300 C4 per month at the base level, alongside all these other partner products we have approved. However, this model was decided before we actually fully taken over Nifty World and Happy Tigers. That being said, sometime downstream, it might not be. There is a non-zero chance that Nifties as well as Happy Tigers can be staked for C4, similar to how Crocs are, without the use of a living land. That's just TBD, but we need to really relook at the staking model and the supply that's being emitted a day, just to make sure we don't that everything is checked out and also fair to the holders of both. So again, to reiterate that, you can buy C4 from Sunday Swap, or you can stake your tigers on a living land when this goes live, and you can earn C4 passively every month through our dashboard.
All right, nice. That's the kind of alpha we want to hear here, man. Cool. Thank you for that. So maybe one last question. So why should someone buy a Happy Tiger NFT? What's the big selling point of your project that sets you apart from others?
So the short answer to that is just if you also want to own a business in some capacity, if you also want to be the ones on the other side of the counter, pun intended, and you had a drive or you see an opportunity where you might not have a lot of money, for example, but you also want these opportunities for you or your family or whoever. I know a lot of people personally in my life where they have all these ideas, they have all these great visions and what they want to do with their life, with their money and retirement and all that stuff, right? But every day, realistically, you're tied to a 9-to-5 job, you're stuck in the rat race for one reason or another, and you don't have any time or money or the capacity to go out and start these ventures or even be part of them. Like if you were to go to the real world, right now a Happy Tiger is like, let's just say 200 ADA, that's what, like $25, $50, right? $50 if I'm assuming ADA is 25 cents. How often can you join a venture or like a business venture for $50? That's unheard of. Like in the US, in most cases, you have to be an accredited investor, which means you have to have a lot of money, to put simply. And most of us don't fit that criteria. Now, coming into Web3, the beautiful thing about Web3 is you create a community. Your mints are essentially a fundraiser, but the holders of your NFTs can also be your the people that you work to build this with, right? And if you are in a position where you can own some tigers, if you're interested in exploring this option or this venture with us, this restaurant, whatever happens to it, if you're interested in owning a part of this business, which is effectively what you're doing here, then go ahead and pick up a tiger and kind of just be with us for the ride, right? It doesn't even need to be a tiger. You can just be in the Discord supporting us, being with us, and kind of seeing this way kind of happen in real time. So that's really all I have to say about that. Where if you want to explore that opportunity, learn things from it, it's a fairly inexpensive, in my opinion, way to get the exposure, and also to reap the rewards if everything goes according to plan.
All right, thank you very much for that closing answer. I was just going through the chat if we have any questions, but I think you have answered most actually. I see Swoops had a question in the end about restaurant margins, etc., but I think we touched upon that. So yeah, I think we covered everything. So there's only one thing left to do for me, and that is our Twitter giveaway. So in the upcoming days, we'll put a post live on Twitter with the recording of this session, and they can win the NFT by completing the mentioned steps. One of these steps, they will only know by listening to the recording. So everyone here, in order to win, you have to mention something regarding real life utility and the restaurant in your comments. So make sure if you want to win the NFT, you mention that. So why we do this is to give an edge for the people who actually followed or watched the recording, as we won't be saying that in our Twitter post. So they'll have to watch the recording. So make sure to keep an eye on our Twitter. The post will be up later today or tomorrow. All right, so thanks again to Happy Tigers Club and Sung and Alex for coming on to our pub talk. It was very insightful, and to be honest here, it's itching to buy some more Happy Tigers. I did catch a few a while back, which they already earned back heavily. But I'm potentially looking to buy some more. I think what you guys are doing is really nice, and you're being really visionaries and in within the CNFT space. So yeah, thank you guys for coming on. It was a pleasure.
And thanks for having us. It was really great just talking about this with everybody here. Looking forward to what's to come in the future.
All right, thanks guys. That was it for today. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll talk to you during our next pub talk, which probably will be Ancient Dragon Alliance, I think on the 10th, but that will be announced soon. All right guys, take care, cheers, and have a great day.